Have you ever looked at your to-do list, felt that huge wave of dread and just thought, I'll do it tomorrow? Yeah, we've all been there. And what's the story we tell ourselves? I'm just lazy. Well, today, we're going to absolutely tear that story apart. Because what if? What if that whole story you've been telling yourself is just plain wrong?
What if that feeling, that powerful urge to procrastinate, has absolutely nothing to do with some kind of character flaw? What if it's not about a lack of willpower or motivation at all? Just let that sink in for a second, because the answer to that question, it changes everything.
Okay, so the first piece of this new puzzle is this. You're not lazy, you're patterned. Every single time you reach for your phone instead of your textbook, that's not really a choice you're making in that moment. It's a pattern, like a pre-recorded loop just running on autopilot.
In the second part, you're wired. And look, this isn't just some psychological trick. This is biology. Your brain has physically built pathways, actual neural highways, that make it way easier to repeat certain behaviors and much harder to start new ones. So you're not weak. You're just following the wiring that's already there.
So here's the absolute game changer. Forget everything you've ever heard about just trying harder or finding more motivation. We are not dealing with a motivation problem here. We're dealing with a pattern problem. And you know what the best part is? Patterns can be understood. And anything that can be understood can be redesigned.
But why does this even happen? I mean, why would our brains build these procrastination patterns in the first place? Well, it turns out it's not a bug at all. It's a feature. And it's all built around this really old default setting, survival mode. Think about it. Your brain evolved over millions of years with one and only one primary goal: keep you alive, period. And that means conserving energy at all costs. It's a survival machine, not a success machine. So that feeling you call laziness is actually your brain doing its job. It's trying to save fuel for a threat that, in our modern world, well, it pretty much never comes. So this survival instinct, it's basically running on a super simple three-part code, 24/7. Number 1, save energy. Number 2, avoid discomfort. And number 3, find the fastest reward possible. And just think about it for a second. Scrolling on your phone, it checks all 3 of those boxes perfectly.
And that reward system is powered by something you've definitely heard of, dopamine. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think it's the pleasure chemical. It's not. That's a myth. It's really the chemical of anticipation. It's that itch, that craving, the motivation to go get the reward. Every single time you scroll, you get this tiny hit that tells your brain, hey, do that again. And that just strengthens the wiring, making the urge even more powerful the next time.
So how do these tiny little actions actually become these powerful, automatic behaviors that kind of run our lives? Well, it all happens through a really simple but incredibly powerful system known as the habit loop. Yep, every single one of your habits, the good, the bad, the ugly, they all follow this exact same 3-step pattern. First, you've got the cue, right? That's the trigger. Maybe it's feeling bored or stressed. That cue sets off the routine, the automatic action, like grabbing your phone without even thinking. And finally, that routine gives you the reward, that little dopamine hit that basically tells your brain, hey, that worked, let's file this away and do it again later.
And this, right here, is exactly why our brains are basically wired to sabotage our long-term goals. Scrolling social media gives you an instant reward, an immediate dopamine hit. Studying for that big exam, the reward is months away. So when faced with that choice, your ancient survival-focused brain is going to pick the path of least resistance and instant gratification, pretty much every single time. So I'm going to say it one more time, because if you take away nothing else from this part, I want it to be this. This isn't a moral failing. It's not you being lazy. It's just the result of some really efficient, totally predictable programming that's just trying to get you the biggest bang for your buck with the least amount of effort.
All right, so if it's a system, that means we can redesign it, right? And this is where things get really exciting. We're going to shift from just understanding the problem to actively fixing it. And the solution, it's not about brute force. It's not about willpower. It's about a much smarter strategy called the replacement rule. And this is the absolute core of the whole thing. Trying to just stop a bad habit is like trying to hold your breath. Eventually, your biology is going to win. Willpower runs out. So instead of fighting your brain's programming head-on, you have to be a little sneaky. You have to work with it by replacing that unwanted routine with a better one.
And the process here is actually surprisingly simple. Step 1, you got to become a detective. Figure out the cue. What's the feeling, the time of day, the situation that kicks off that bad habit? Is it boredom, stress, fear? Once you've nailed that down, you go to step 2.
You keep that same trigger, but you deliberately slot in a new, more productive routine. And I cannot stress this enough. This part is absolutely critical. See, your brain hates a vacuum. It hates an empty space in its programming. If you just try to remove the scrolling habit, that cue, that feeling of boredom, it's still going to fire. And your brain is going to scramble to fill that void, and guess what it's going to fill it with? Probably the old habit or a new, equally unhelpful one. You have to give it a new job to do.
Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks. Theory is fantastic, but we need an action plan. So here it is, a step-by-step 30-day guide to put this replacement rule into practice and actually start rewiring those patterns for good. And the only reason any of this is even possible is because of this incredible scientific fact called neuroplasticity. I mean, it's the ability of your brain to literally reorganize itself, to form new connections based on what you do and what you think. It is scientific proof that you are not stuck. Whatever you repeat, that is what you become.
Okay, so here's the system, broken down week by week. Week 1 is all about awareness. Your only job is to be a scientist. Track your bad habits, but, and this is key, with zero judgment. In week 2, you pick just one habit and apply the replacement rule. Week 3 is all about controlling your environment, making it easier to succeed by removing those triggers. And then week 4, this is the final boss, the most important step of all, shifting your identity.
Yeah, this really is the linchpin of the whole process. You have to stop telling yourself that old, tired story, I'm lazy. That's a dead end, a fixed identity. Instead, you start telling yourself a new story, I'm rebuilding. See the difference? That's a process. It gives you permission to screw up, to be imperfect, because it's all about the work you're putting in. And remember, your actions will always try to align with the person you believe you are.
Now, you got to be prepared for how this is going to feel. That first week is going to feel painful. I'm not going to lie. That's just your old wiring putting up a fight. But if you stick with it, the second week starts to feel manageable. Then the third week, you start to feel powerful. You're seeing real change. And by that fourth week, that new habit starts to feel, well, normal. It becomes your new automatic.
And here's the cool thing, the wonderful paradox in all of this. Yeah, your brain got addicted to the comfort of those easy old patterns, but once you get that first taste of real progress, a totally different and way more powerful reward system kicks in. Seeing yourself grow, seeing yourself achieve things, that is also incredibly addictive. And it's a feedback loop that just keeps building on itself.
So this, right here, is the empowering truth we've been building towards. You are not your patterns. You're not defined by them. You are the architect. You are the engineer who has the power to look at the system, understand it, and then systematically rewire it to build anything you want.
So, we've laid out the science, we've laid out the system. It's not magic, it's a process. That old story you told yourself about being lazy, it's officially dead. So the only real question left is for you. Now that you have the tools, what are you going to choose to build?